This podcast is sponsored by Dis-Chem Living Fit, with a wide range of health products and supplements tailored to your needs. Whatever your needs are, whatever stage in your health and fitness journey you're in, Dis-Chem Living Fit has the products for you. Usi Nte, thank you so much for coming through. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you in here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jesse. I'm really excited to be here.
Of course. So, we'll start off with the Biogen aspect. The Biogen Face of Fitness. First off, congratulations and well done.
Thank you. I still cannot believe it. It literally still feels like a dream.
So that's actually what I want to go into is how does it feel in terms of, has it been something that you've wanted to work towards and you've maybe, because, the Face of Fitness has been something that's been going on for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Is it something that you saw where you're like, okay, well, when I get more into fitness or when I grow my brand, that's something that I'd want to do?
Honestly, no. I've always seen it very far from me. I think you had mentioned it earlier on, just being a Black woman, it's really difficult to find people to relate to. A lot of the people that we see on screen, in magazines, they don't necessarily look like me. So it's always been very much I think that's something I'd enjoy. I think that's something that I'd be a part of. I know I've always loved fitness. I've always been a very active person, but I've never really thought, you know what, I'm going to be on a magazine. I'm going to, that's something that I'm going to do. I'm going to be a fitness model. I'm going to be a health and wellness expert. I've never thought of myself as that. Not until very recently, I think. I think that's when I started figuring out who I really was and where I really fit in.
Amazing. So let's get back to the infancy of your health journey, fitness journey. What was it, dancing, or what was the first thing that got you into, this health world?
I would definitely say between athletics and netball.
Okay. So school time.
School, always school. In school, I was always very busy doing athletics, either running or even if it was drama, really. And in drama, we do a lot of movement work. And I've always felt a really deep connection with physical movement. So once I was doing netball, I remember my mom saying, you need to start with modeling. You need to gain confidence. You're very shy. I know a lot of people are going to look at me and be like, shy. But I was really shy. I was always scared to speak and say what I needed to say. And I think going to modeling classes has helped me with that level of confidence and being able to say, this is what I know, this is what I don't know. This is where I need your assistance, and this is where I don't need your assistance. And I think being, I'll say young, it's difficult to find that voice in yourself.
How old are you now?
I'm 27.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people will be like, oh, you're still young, you're a baby. I hear that a lot on set. You're young, you're a baby, you still got a lot of growing to do. But
Which is nice to hear because you're on set with older people, so it means you're ahead in your career.
100%. And with that said, it's amazing to hear that I'm young, but my body doesn't necessarily know that. My body's just going, we've passed another year, now we're needing to adapt to something else. And taking it back to athletics and netball, I used to be like, oh my goodness, I want to be a netball player. I want to be, I want to be an athlete. But I didn't really understand what that meant. I don't think I really knew why I was saying that. So then I changed and I went to dancing. And then those athletics and netball dreams kind of just went astray. And I focused more on dancing. And then I realized, oh, this is the athleticism that I actually enjoy. I enjoy moving my body in a way that tells a story. I'm a huge storyteller. Anyone who doesn't know me, I believe that I'm an artist first before I'm anything else. So moving from netball to dancing and then just trying to figure myself out in what I do. Because in South Africa, a lot of people will tell you arts is not... you're not going to make money in the arts. So what are you going to do for money and to hold a lifestyle? And for me, it's never really been a thing. I've always just been like, I dance, I move, that's what I'm going to do for money, I guess.
And I think that's, an issue with the old way of thinking where it's, you have to do something to pay the bills. It doesn't matter if you don't enjoy it. You have to have a job.
Yeah.
And, times fortunately are changing where people can choose to do something that they are truly passionate about. They can make a career about something that they're truly passionate about
100%.
and that they enjoy doing. And in doing so, actually then become more successful at it and then be able to make more money.
100%. And with making more money comes with upskilling yourself. So for me, I have never thought like, oh, I need to make money so that I get this and I buy this. I've always thought when I make money, I need to become better. Like, how do I become more flexible? How do I become stronger? How do I become mentally fit? And that's always been a big issue for me, is like physically I felt like, oh, I can do it, or maybe I can't do that. But the trigger or the, I don't know how to call it, maybe alignment happened when I realized it's never really just about physical fitness, but also about mental fitness. You don't just want to be strong for the gym or fit for the gym. You want to be fit for life.
Well, you're at the gym for an hour a day, whereas the rest of the 23 hours, you need to be mentally fit to continue.
100%. Holding conversations with people, going to the stores, playing with your kids if you're a parent. Those are things that need you to show up physically, mentally, and emotionally fit. And that's not something that a lot of us talk about, especially in the fitness industry, in any industry, actually.
Yeah. So you mentioned, going back to the modeling and investing in yourself for netball or for getting confidence. So you obviously always try to reinvest in yourself, and that's
100%.
what's obviously you mentioned is you make more money, so you spend more money on yourself, improving yourself. And
100%, you have to. I think for me, it's important to upskill. Excuse me. It really is important to upskill because life is adaptation, right? Life is ever changing. So if you think you're going to do one thing until you're probably going to find that you'll become a little bored or miserable, or, well, I find it in my perspective, and I don't want to push it to anyone else, but for me, doing one thing the entire time, it gets a little tedious, a little monotonous, and I'm always searching for excitement. I think that's what life is about. Wherever the excitement is, that's probably where you'll find me.
So a lot of people, seeing you on TV or seeing you on a magazine or seeing you at the gym or whatever will be like, she's successful. For you, what would you define success as?
That's a really great question. I don't know if I can define success, but I know I can feel it. I feel successful when my mind is in the right space, where I feel like even if I don't know something, I have the confidence to say, hey, I'm not sure what's happening here. Please let me know what's going on. Or can you give me more details about this? Having that confidence, and then having the experience that my body can do what it wants to do when it wants to do it. And I always say, I love the art of falling, like being able to fall and get up again. That for me is success. Being able to transition between good and bad and hard and easy, slow, fast, all of those things, that is for me the definition of success, is the graceful adaptation between both. I don't know.
No, exactly. I think you sound like you are open to admitting if you have made a mistake and if you are wrong. And, it's humbling yourself to admit, I don't have the answers for this, but I'm open to learning.
100%. I feel like that's one thing that my mom has instilled in me is, baby girl, you're not going to know everything. But the things that you do know, make sure you know them. And be confident in knowing them, but also be confident in not knowing something, because that's where you learn. That's where you get to have these conversations with people, and you get to be a human, right? We're not doing things as human, we're being. So being a human means asking questions, admitting to when you're wrong, and knowing when you're right as well, and saying, no, I know my shit here. Sorry.
No,
Am I allowed
you
to?
say what you want.
Okay, cool. I mean, being able to say like, I know my shit here. Like I can stand firm and say, I know what I'm doing in yoga. I know what I'm doing when it comes to movement artistry, but I'm learning the science of the body. So biomechanics and sports psychology and all of those nutritional science, all of those things are things that I'm very much interested in. I can't say that I know everything, but I will tell you that I'm learning. And I'm very confident in being a learner.
And confidence, there's a fine line. Well, actually not. Because if you have confidence, but there's no ego within that confidence, where it's, I'm self-assertive and I understand that I know what I'm talking about. But if someone does correct you, or if someone says something and you change your perspective and you're willing to change your perspective, then that confidence that you had wasn't rooted in ego. It was rooted in the work that you've done to get there.
100%. And I think a lot of humans right now really tend to confuse that. They see your self-assertiveness, your confidence, and they immediately are triggered by their insecurity. And they're like, no, you're egotistical, or no, you're being too much, or you're speaking too much, you're being too loud. And these are obviously all things that I've heard. That's why I'm speaking about it. But essentially, when you're being egotistical and when you're being confident, because there's a feeling inside that you're like, I probably shouldn't have said that. But I don't have a lot of those moments anymore, because when I speak to people, I want to hear you. I want to listen to you. I want to understand where you're coming from so that you feel better when I'm around. I don't ever want people to feel like, oh, here's Miss Know-It-All, or here's this girl that thinks, I don't know, whatever you want to think. But for me, it's very much about how do we become better? How do we elevate ourselves and the environment that we live in? Because I feel like South Africa needs a bit of an elevation in consciousness, I guess. I don't want to use like woo-woo terms, but there needs to be a level of, we need to be better. Like we want to be better, right? For me as an artist, I see a lot of my friends and a lot of my colleagues leave the country because they're searching for better. And I look around and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is such a beautiful country and such amazing people, and our culture is so vibrant and alive, and we just need to support each other. We just need to be there for each other. But a lot of people don't want to do that just yet.
And it's unfortunate because people think, oh, it's greener on the other side, or it's better there, but there's issues there. There might be different issues, but there's 100%. Issues there. There's problems. There's wherever you go, it's all about, very little is actually needed for a happy life. It's all in your mindset, your way of thinking, and it's within yourself.
Agreed.
And you have the ability to control your perspective on your thoughts and what you think is bad and what isn't bad. I mean, if you think about load shedding, load shedding is a problem. But then if you go to America, there's school shootings. There's, natural disasters. There's so many issues all around the world. You're going to be unhappy wherever you go 100%. If you don't rework your mind.
That actually reminds me of the quote, the grass is green where you water it. Not necessarily over there, but where you are. There's also where your feet are, be there. So for me, that has been a huge turn in the way that I move. Because I'm no longer yearning for things. I'm no longer like, oh, I wish I can go back to the past and change things. Where my feet are is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I find, again, this word, I find confidence in that. I find happiness and success in where I'm at right now. And now, of course, I'm hoping for better. I'm hoping for more. But I'm very happy with what's happening right now.
And I think being present is sometimes, it's always difficult, especially in a world where, there's so many different stimuli coming from different aspects, social media, much. TV, radio, much. News, bad news, good news, whatever. And you need to be present. And, being present where you are in every moment, like us sitting here right now, we should be present. I should be just here. I shouldn't be thinking, okay, well, I need to do X, Y, and Z later today. I need to be present. And
But how easy is it to go off with that? You know, how easy is it to just be like, okay, I'm doing my interview now. I'm here. Check. What's next? I gotta, right? It's very easy to run with that thought and not actually just be here. And I think it's really important for most of us to just be a little more grateful about where we are. And I know most of South Africa is going to be like, be grateful for where I am. What are you talking about? But it's like, there's so much potential for us here. There's so much we can do. We really just need to be a little more grateful about our potential.
And in terms of being present, I read something the other day which really helped me be present in every situation is, if you are thinking, I find myself, like, let's say I'm going for a run. I'm thinking about tomorrow's run. Why? No, focus on today's run. Use your senses. Using your senses help you become more present. Smelling something, thinking about, okay, what am I touching? What is, hearing the noise of your jacket? That helps me become more present. Smelling the air, the fragrance that I sprayed before you came. All of these things make you more present and make you understand your environment
100%.
and not make you just fixate on, what's next.
100%. It's also a practice that we use in yoga. So a lot of my clients, they always say, it's really difficult for me to meditate. It's really difficult for me to be present. And I give them that exact tip, like, use your 5 senses. Start with what you're feeling. What can you feel right now? Touch right now. Okay, I'm feeling a bit, okay, I can feel the jacket. I can feel the suede of the couch. And then go on to what you're seeing around you. Is it in alignment with the story that you want your life to go to? What you're seeing around you. If not, see if you can change it. If you can't change it, you're gonna have to let it go because it's bigger than you. You can't be stressing over things that you can't change. And then third, smell. What are you smelling? What are you tasting? Those are really important grounding techniques that we use in yoga as well. So I'm really glad that you brought that up because it's very, very important.
So let's talk about, you got into dancing after the sport, netball and all of that. How did you get into, doing stunt work?
That honestly came out of the blue. Like I was dancing here in Joburg professionally as a tailor-made group dancer. As a professional dancer, you put your body through so much strain. And we were dancing for sometimes close to 16 hours a day. And if you know professional dancers, we've got back bends, crazy back bends.
What style of dancing is it?
All of it. So we transition from Latin to contemp to jazz to hip hop to African to it's amazing. If you don't know about TMG, which is Tailor Made Group, please go check them out. They do phenomenal work. They do a lot of live concerts and corporate jobs as well. They have phenomenal dancers and phenomenal movement artists there. And yeah, we worked hard. We trained really hard there, and they still do train really, really hard there. And for me, the basis of the fundamentals of my movement come from my dance background, come from my musical theater background. So before I became a professional dancer, I was a musical theater student and I studied musical theater. And so just going on to that into professional dancing, that's really what helped me get into stunts, because then a friend of mine was able to kind of give my name to one of the stunt coordinators. And he was just like, you're a dancer. Let's see what you can do with your body. Are you able to fall? And I was like, I think so. And thankfully, because of the type of work and the type of dance that we do in contemporary, you learn how to give into the floor. You learn how to use the floor rather than to have that really hard impact. And I think that's really what's important with stunts especially. But it did come out of the blue. And thank goodness it came, because I would not have learned any of what I know right now had I not been through what I've been through with dancing and stunts.
And, you mentioned, using the floor, not, falling completely.
Yeah.
I saw a video on your Instagram where you get like clotheslined and then you land on the floor, but obviously there was no padding or
Yeah,
anything.
nothing. Talking about my flat back for the series Unseen on Netflix. That was that was my first time doing a flat back with no padding, and there was no mat. And I have just recently kind of learned how to break falls and do all of those things. But had I not had my dance background, I would not have the confidence to do that at all. I would look at that stunt and be like, no, like I'm going to break my back. But because I understand how my body moves and I understand just what's happening around me, there's spatial awareness, so important. I'm able to put myself in kind of risky situations and make it through.
And, putting yourself in situations that you aren't, maybe equipped for initially. And you mentioned, being younger, being in situations where you need to put yourself in the public eye, with the dancing, with obviously the acting, with all of those kind of things. That has had and forced you to grow and forced you to improve and forced you to be confident.
100%. 100%. You're so right. I think had I not been doing the type of work that I do, I wouldn't be speaking like how I speak. I wouldn't be sharing the information that I share. I wouldn't be putting myself out on Instagram like how I do. So yeah, the art is really important. I don't know how to make people understand how important art is. I mean, what we're doing right now is artistic, being able to hold a conversation that needs a level of artistry, a level of listening, a level of empathy, which you learn through art. You don't get to just pick these skills up in an everyday life. I've never had an office job, but a lot of people around me have office jobs, and a lot of them struggle with confidence because you get used to being told what to do. You get used to being managed. And with art, you have to learn to manage yourself. And I think that moves right into fitness as well. You have to be able to manage yourself.
So how is training, because obviously when you were dancing 16 hours, now being on set, equally time consuming. How is your training schedule when you're on set for, shooting at nighttime? During the day, you got other obligations to do, and that gets difficult to manage your time.
100%. It's funny that you say that because I just come off of production. I've been shooting for about 5 months now, and we just wrapped up early July. And it's a difficult transition. It's a difficult kind of wave to ride because if you are shooting at night, you're up from like 2 p.m. until 6 a.m. the next day. 6 a.m. the next day, I'm coming back home. My partner's leaving. And it's like missing each other. And, I have clients that I might be working with to do yoga, and their sessions are like at 11 a.m. And I'm like, I don't want to wake up at 11, but self-management, again, it comes back to, I love what I do. So for me, sleep is like I respect sleep. I respect sleep a lot. Please don't misread or misunderstand me. Sleep is very important for the work that I do. And off-season is also really important. But training, set work, those are things that you have to kind of manage and adapt and make work for where you are right now. I am I love to be disciplined and I love structure. But if I'm being honest, I'm also not a very structured person. So if today I'm feeling like, oof, I can feel my body is screaming at me, it's letting me know that the stunt that I did was a little too hard, I'm very open and very okay with calling a client and saying, listen, I can't make it this morning. Can we do a virtual situation, or would you rather swap it out for another day, and I'll be open and honest with the client and say, this is what I'm looking like. Like, this is what my schedule is looking like right now. And I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling this way. Yeah, for me, it's very adaptive. It's very fluid. And I feel like if you're going to try and be rigid in art, it's not gonna give you what it needs to give you.
And, you know, being sore from those stunts, how is it, you know, doing those stunts and putting your body under that amount of pressure and stress and, you know, how is it? Because, you know, people say like, yo, Tom Cruise does his own stunts, but I don't think people actually understand what it means to do stunts like that.
Yeah, I definitely, I agree with that. I don't think people understand what it takes to do stunts, because a lot of people be like, oh, I can do that fall. Sure, but can you do it 25 times? You know, they're going to say, go for another take. And are you going to be able to get up and do it again? You don't want to pull your back out in the first take, because what's the rest of the movie going to look like? But yeah, for me, it's nutrition first. Obviously, I'm fueled by Biogen. I've always, even before I won Face of Fitness, I was always using Biogen. Even in my dance career, I was using Biogen products. And just purely because it was accessible to me, Dischem is like every fitness person's favorite place to go to.
Or worst place, because you go spending so much money.
100%. Actually, you never just go into Dischem to buy one thing. But yeah, for me, going into Dischem and seeing, oh, these are like supplements. And I'm not necessarily like a supplement person. I rely heavily on my nutrition and the foods that I eat. And I eat for fuel as well. So the food that I eat it's important for the work that I do. So I can't necessarily just eat whatever I want to eat whenever and how. Off season, definitely. But if I'm prepping for a role and I'm prepping for production, that's where my discipline comes in place. That's when my structure comes in place, because I love my body. Like, it's my instrument. It's my livelihood. So I need to hear what it says to me, and I need to listen to it. So nutrition is a huge, huge part for my recovery and preparation. Sleep.
When you get a chance.
when I do get a chance, definitely. If we're shooting nights, forget sleep. I don't know that girl, don't know her name, never seen her. But if it is like a day shoot or something like that, I prioritize my sleep as much as I can. I think it's really important. And then last but not least, continuing to move. Like, once you stop moving, so much fascia builds up in the body, and then you're immobile. You don't want to be immobile when you're doing stunts. You want to be able to, if they're calling you at 2 a.m. and they're saying your scene is up next, you're ready to go. You know, you're prepped and you're ready to go. So taking that impact and all of that stuff, it really, for me, boils down to 3 of those fundamental things: nutrition, sleep, and movement.
You obviously are big into yoga, big into dancing. You know, what other types of training do you implement in your daily life to be able to do, you know, stunt work to that scale?
Gosh, that's so difficult. I do a lot. I do a lot. My Instagram name is Usi Moves a Lot. And I never really tie myself down to a type of movement. So I try and add variety as much as I can. I've got a lot of hobbies as well. So roller skating is one of my favorite hobbies as well. I run as well. I do aerial things like silks and lira. So I try as much as I can to not just stick to one type of movement, because then that's where kind of the formation of your body happens, whether you become really lean, like dance lean, and that's not necessarily helpful for when you're doing stunts, because you also need the strength. So that's where my strength training will come in, weightlifting and stuff like that. But you're not going to see me push one over the other, because for me, they're all important. But my number one favorite type of movement, yoga.
Okay.
Always. I feel like it's such a great integration of everything that we need: the mobility, the strength, the mind body connection that you need. And then, of course, the self management and the self observation that you get in yoga. It's like it hits everything, guys. It's just do yoga.
What if someone that hasn't maybe done yoga before, or someone that's maybe dabbled a little bit, how would you suggest someone gets into yoga, or how often should someone do yoga if they, just looking to, play around with yoga a little bit?
So if you're looking to just play around with yoga, follow me. Follow me first, and you'll see on my posts, I just do a lot of just movement, and you'll find a lot of poses, asanas that you can try and attempt. I always say attempt it first so that you can play and fall around by yourself so you don't feel insecure. I know a lot of people have that kind of shyness walking into a yoga studio or a yoga class, and then everyone knows where to go.
Which is so interesting because people see yoga as, okay, maybe lately, like the last 5-10 years, less so. But initially, at least, people saw yoga as like not a workout. 100%. Whereas, I was in Cape Town probably like 3 years ago. Was my first experience with yoga, and it was hot yoga.
Oh, my favorite.
And I went in there, obviously understanding that I wasn't as flexible as I needed to be. There's certain muscles in my body that have never been activated the way they're going to be in yoga.
Yeah.
And I was with a girl at the time, and she was just laughing at me because I was in a pose and my whole body is just shaking because those particular parts of the body and the muscles have never actually been activated before. And that's why, people go into a yoga class for the first time and they are maybe nervous, is because it's difficult.
It is. If you're going to start anything new, it's going to be difficult. But if you're going to be successful in anything new, you're going to be okay with sucking.
And you need to be okay with sucking because everyone in a particular time in their life is going to suck at something.
100%. I have a video up. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on my Instagram where I'm literally falling. I suck at skating. And then 6 months later, I'm not falling as much. I've got a bit of a hang and a bit of a rhythm going on. And I'm hoping to continue that streak and that kind of build in my skate. And it goes with anything. No one just wakes up and is miraculously phenomenal at something. You have to be good with not being good.
I've actually been reading a book called Grit, and it's about essentially talent and inherent ability is not an indication of success. If you are naturally good at something, is not an indication of success. They were doing many different reviews, but studies. The one study I remember was actually about spelling bees. And the top performers weren't the ones that were the smartest or the best at, memory or any of that. It was the people that worked the hardest. And I think we know that in everyday life.
Yes.
If you look at acting, if you look at, sportsmen, it's not, okay, I'm going to assume that the person that's good is going to be the best. It's most times out of 10, I'm going to select the person that's working the hardest, that you can see the amount of, to use the name of the book, grit that they're putting in. I
love that. And I want to keep that name so that I love reading as well. So I'm going to keep that and add it into my book list. But yes, I'm a living testament to that. I started dancing, I think, too late. There's what people will say. I was 16 when I started dancing, and I was going through puberty. So the girls were growing, the body's doing its own thing, my face has got acne, my toes are not pointing like how they're supposed to. I was not flexible at all, but I had the grit. Like, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew how much I enjoyed dancing, and I stuck to it. I focused, put my head down, and I did what I needed to do. Couple years later, I'm dancing professionally, literally making money and living off of what I was not good at. And even my dance teacher at the time, like, I could see she really had hope in me, but she was kind of advising me to not do dance, to do something else, maybe just focus on acting, because you're struggling with dancing, you know? And I was like, it's so hard to hear that because I love this so much. And I just thought, well, there's no need to stop. There's no need for me to stop just because I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it right now. I'm not getting it yet. But if I know myself like how I know myself, I'll get it. I'll get it. Before I knew it, 2017, I'm starting my first big gig and I'm dancing professionally to 8,000 people? That's amazing. Like, I feel like, and there are a whole lot of other people who have those types of stories. So yes, let's all get the grit.
That resilience that you showed, and you mentioned your mother earlier as well. Was it that supportive structure that you had growing up that developed the hard work and the resilience? And then also obviously inherently you just want to always work hard and strive.
Yeah, 100%. I think I miss my mom so much. She is around. She's in PE or Gqeberha. I'm residing in Cape Town, so we don't get to see each other as much. But she honestly was the loudest and most supportive voice in my environment at the time. And I didn't have a lot. I grew up in a location called Ezwide in Port Elizabeth, very much like every location, you know, you look around and you're just like, damn, like I don't see how I'm going to make it out here. I don't see how I'm going to, there's no time for dreams when you're living in a location. There's no time for dreams. There's really no time for that. It's very much you're surviving hand to mouth. And for my mom to have the confidence in me to say, you need to dream. In order for you to live the life that you want to live, which is a happy, healthy, and balanced life, you need to dream. Yes, this is our reality, but it's our reality for now. Who knows what's going to happen in 2 years? Who knows what's going to happen in 5 years? And I could see that in her. Every year we would be progressing, moving up, and it would be tiny things. Maybe we wouldn't move out of the location just yet, but you know, I'd get a new bed to sleep on. And that was just like amazing. Now I've got better rest. And then I'd get better clothes. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like tiny, tiny, tiny improvements. That is essentially what has made this world, I guess, my oyster is what they would say. But essentially, that's essentially how I learned. You just need one person to believe in you. And even if that person is just yourself, that's enough. You know, don't drown that voice out. Have that loud, supportive voice. Wherever it's coming from, hold on to it. Make sure you're listening to it. And reaffirm yourself. If you need to write it down in a mirror, do it. Do what you have to do for yourself to get yourself where you need to get to.
So those, people do get stuck in their own heads, or they get stuck in an echo chamber of maybe the unhelpful comments from people around them. What are some of the things that you would maybe advise people to do if they need that little bit of extra encouragement where they maybe don't believe in themselves, but they wanted to get to a point where they can?
I think this is such a great question for me as well, because I'm in a transitional phase where coming out of production, I'm not sure about myself anymore. I remember messaging my friend and I'm like, oh, I just finished shooting. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself now. For some reason, I feel like I don't trust myself. And he was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh, wait, what? What does that mean? Why would I not trust myself? Where do I come from? I think it's really important to first establish, where is it that you come from? Where are you now? Having just even looking back at that gap, and not to live in the past, but to be able to reflect so that you can use that to propel you further. That's so important. So being able to just use that reflection, say, where was I? I literally come from deep, deep, deep in the location in PE, which is no one, no one really understands the mental fortitude that you need to go through to get yourself just in an environment where there's greenery. Just in an environment where there are people who drive nice cars. There's cafes. It's those are things that help people. Anyway, excuse me for going on this tangent, but going on to how people can help themselves, reflection is really important. You have to reflect on the words that you speak, on the people that are around you, on the places that you go to and have been. Reflection for me has been probably one of the most important tools that I've used to, I guess, get myself to a point where I'm sitting here having this conversation with you. And then gratitude, just being thankful for, even if it's just being alive, just having breath. There are times where I know, like, it's so difficult to just say thank you because life is just life. But having the stillness and the patience to just be like, you know what? I am really grateful that I'm even alive to feel the pain that I'm feeling right now. Because after this, I can do something about it. Because having the awareness of where you are gives you prospect. It gives you a place to go to. Now you can move away from the pain. If you're aware that I'm in pain, you can make decisions to get you out of pain. If you're aware that I don't believe in myself, you can start making decisions to start believing in yourself, even if that means calling a friend. If you don't have a friend to call to, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there are so many, we've got so many routes now to reach out and build ourselves the way we need to build ourselves. So yeah, I don't know if that helps.
No, I think it definitely will. And working with, I still need to see the movie, and I really want to see the movie. But working with Viola Davis, because obviously I haven't seen the movie, so I don't even exactly know how much you're in the movie. So maybe explain that. Okay. And then also, what was your role? Obviously, being a strong Black African woman, I saw that video of you and the other ladies, and I mean, I was really impressed. Felt a little bit intimidated because of all the great bodies that were there, and obviously, like all with the shields and the spears, I'm like, well, I definitely can't try fight these ladies.
You don't fuck around with us. You don't fuck
around.
I'm joking.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, I mean, Viola Davis. I mean, right? We already know she's phenomenal at her artistry and the work that she does. And she's a strong Black woman. And any strong Black woman, you're just like, well, at least I'm just like, yes, I'm rooting for you. But to actually be in working on a project with her, and of that magnitude, of that scale, is really just mind-blowing. I can't believe that the hard work and the luck that I have brought me to a point where I was a part of the Women King. And thankfully, I also got to double Tusombedu, who was playing Naui, second to Viola. So it was quite a demanding role in terms of physically and doing stunts. There are quite a number of big gags that we big stunts with wires or anything, we call them gags. So there were quite a number of gags. And for my first film, that was really a huge, I don't know how to call it. It was kind of a shocker. I was just like,
is this how they do it?
Yeah, I was like, and you want me to do this? Like, I just dance, right? Like, you want me to do it? But thankfully, the stunt team that I was working with, and it is the company, the stunt team, they really just ushered me through it so well. I was working with the stunt coordinator, Grant Powell, and Danny Hernandez, who was the stunt coordinator from the US. Just having the both of them really let me know, like, you got this. Like, we rehearsed it so many times. You did it. Get into it and just do it. Now, all we're doing now is just putting you in front of the camera, but nothing's changed. Having people actually have, who is not my mom, people that are not my family, have that confidence in me. It really was so reassuring about the work that I do, about the movement and the relationship that I have with my body. I was like,
And getting that from people at that scale in the industry.
100%. And for me, that industry is new. Like, stunt industry, film industry is a new industry for me. I just started in 2020. So I feel like a baby doing anything in film. I'm like learning in such huge magnitude of production. Like, the scale is really, really huge. And the cameras and the tools that they use.
Where was it? Where was it? Not set. Where was it filmed?
So we filmed in Cape Town. We also filmed in KZN, and I think they also did a couple of shots in Ghana as well.
Okay.
But I shot predominantly KZN and here in Cape Town. Excuse me, we're in Joburg.
Yeah.
And Cape Town. But yeah, like, the scale of these productions are really huge, and working on that project and then being able to, like, work with Viola Davis herself. And I was trying to not be starstruck, and I was trying so hard to not be like an inquisitive, so how do you do it? And what do you do? And I was just trying to calm myself down and just observe. Just watch how she does things. Watch how she converses with people. Watch how she gets ready to do a take. When they say 3, 2, 1, action, what is that? What are those last 3 seconds doing for her? What is she doing in those 3 seconds?
What did you learn?
I learned she
just effortlessly does it.
It's so effortless. It's so effortless. I learned authenticity is always going to be your best bet. And as difficult as it is for me to acknowledge and admit, it's important for me to be authentically myself. And the hardest pill to swallow is that there are people who are not going to like you for that. There are people who are going to want to crucify you for that. But as long as I know what I've said to you was my truth, and I've said it the best way that I possibly can, and not in a way that is confrontational. And if ever you feel confrontational, I always say to people, does that make sense? You know, like, does that help you? So that I'm aware of how I'm speaking as well. Because I know I've got a really big voice and it's really loud, and sometimes it can be misconstrued to like you're being confrontational or you're shouting at me. But I'm just a really passionate person and I'm just a really excitable person as well. So I have to be okay with someone who doesn't like me. And in for me, such a fresh industry, it's difficult to butt heads with people like that and be like, oh, I need to keep my distance from this person. But I learned that from her. I learned that from Tusa as well. Oh my gosh, and she's South African, another phenomenal, hardworking South African woman, Tusa Mbedu, doing phenomenal things right now. It's great seeing and watching her be herself, because that's exactly what she is. She's being herself, authentically her, showing up fully, vibrantly, confidently herself. And I think a lot of times Black women are told to keep quiet. We're told you're like, and I don't understand, because we're not represented that much. If you're looking at things statistically, whether it's on magazine covers or in films or even in like dances, we don't have as many statistics with leading Black women. It's really hard to find ourselves in that. So when I speak up, it's not to fight. It's not to confront you, or it's not in any way to, it's not to confront anyone in any way. It's to say, I'm feeling like I need to stand up for myself here. I'm feeling like I need to make you realize what my worth is, because there's one thing I know, it is my own worth. And sometimes we get spoken to like
Less than.
Less than, purely because either you look young or maybe it's your first time doing stunts. And yes, it might be my first time doing something, but you don't know what that person's experience is. You don't know what life that person has lived and how it can help you and work for you. So in professional spaces especially, I always say I show up professionally first and then I show up as everything else. So when I speak to you, I'm speaking to you in a professional manner, especially when I'm at work. Anything to do with stunts, dancing, even sometimes yoga, I always show up professionally. And for me, we're colleagues. So age doesn't matter. And not in like like you're older than me, it doesn't matter. No, just in that we're trying to make a piece of art here. We're trying to tell a story. We're trying to convey a message to an audience that does not know what's happening BTS or behind the scenes, So let's make sure that the work's getting done properly. And if you're going to hold a grudge against me because you're looking down at me like I'm shorter than you or I'm younger than you, then for me it's, well, you're firstly undervaluing me, but also you're not being professional. Professionalism for me is getting the work done, getting the job done first. And that will always be my priority, is making sure that the work that I put out for people is helpful and authentic.
And that's what, has been and has helped you, in your career and developing as fast as you have, is that authenticity and that belief that, yes, we might be different ages, different races, different whatever, but 100%. When we're doing the art, we're the same.
We're the same. We're artists. We're humans. Human beings. That's what we are first before we're anything else. So whatever you're coming from your house or your personal life with, in front of the camera, it doesn't matter. Not in a rude way, not in a way that says you need to die with your problems, but in a way that's saying, let's see each other as artists. Let's see each other for the work that we're putting up. We're only in the space because of the work, right? Otherwise, we would not be here together. But we're here together because something binds us. Something way bigger than us is bringing us together. So let's let that lead first before we let our egos or our age or whatever else lead. Let's lead with that mindset first.
And that something bigger can be something small, that something bigger could be a movie or it could be one yoga class. It could 100%, be anything.
100%. It's really important to just see people. Like, if you're going to be in a space with someone, try and meet them where they are. Try and be there with them. Like, it would be, one, really unprofessional and really rude and disrespectful to you as a human being for me to be here and just thinking, oh gosh, when are we going to wrap this up? Like, I actually need to, like that for me is that's not being human. We're doing something here. We're doing something that maybe is much greater than what we're thinking right now. We're just thinking, oh, we're having a conversation about, who I am and the work that I do. But someone sitting there is watching this and they need the energy that I'm holding right now. They need the energy that you're holding right now. They need to hear something from us. And we may not know what it is, but they are going to find it and they're going to hear it within this conversation. So it's really important for me to be authentic so that when I meet up with that person in the street, which it has happened before, you just bump into someone, they're like, hey, I know you from yada yada. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Oh, it was such a bad day. I wish and now that rarely happens because I feel like I'm authentic. Like I try as much as I can to really show up authentically. And I do understand that not everyone is going to appreciate that, but it's still fine with me. Like it's so good with me. Like I would much rather have 20 people, 5 people, even 3 people that love me fully as I am, the words that I say, how I say them, and how I show up, rather than, oh, I need to like, be some other way to show up here. And that's another thing that I actually wanted to thank you for, is this is our first meeting and our first conversation together, but there was no sense of like, oh, you need to look a certain way, you need to show up this way. You were kind of just like, come on in, sit down, let's get it started.
I'm glad to hear that.
It was really chilled. And those for me are the spaces that we need more of. That's the type of work that we need more of. We need more people that can hold spaces for people to have conversations with about everything. Your podcast is so helpful in so many ways, because it's not just about fitness and, getting yourself healthy, but it's also about elevating yourself as a human being. How do you become a high value human? And these are the places that we turn to, that we
thank
look
you
to.
for saying that. I really appreciate
100%.
it.
Thank you for doing this.
Of course. So for people that want to see you on the screen, maybe anywhere that they can see you, magazine cover, they can go to Dis-Chem and buy. Where can people find you other than social media?
Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost, I am Biogen's Face of Fitness. So you can find me on the fitness magazine cover. And secondly, you can find me on the Netflix show Unseen. I'm doubling Zinzi.
I haven't watched the show, to be honest.
Excuse
but
me.
But now I'm going to.
The character name has fallen just because I've been busy doing another production. But you can find me doing my stunts on Unseen. You can also find me doing my stunts on Blood and Water, Buleng Stunt Double. There's another one coming out very soon, Fatal Seduction. You can find me doing stunt there as well.
Is that what you just wrapped, or can you not say what you just wrapped?
I can't necessarily. I'm not actually sure what the NDA says.
Maybe just don't, just in case.
Let me just not say, just in case. But I think if you keep an eye out on the socials, you'll definitely find it. But it's going to be a big one as well. It's going to be a really great one. I'm really excited about it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and availing yourself, because I know you're obviously, from Cape Town. So I appreciate you making the time to come
100%. Here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Anytime.
And thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. This podcast is sponsored by Dis-Chem Living Fit, with a wide range of health products and supplements tailored to your needs. Whatever your needs are, whatever stage in your health and fitness journey you're in, Dis-Chem Living Fit has the products for you.